There comes a quiet moment in every life when the pursuit of money stops feeling like progress and starts feeling like pressure. We rarely talk about it, but for most of us, the weight of money is not in the coins we carry or the bills we fold. It's in the thoughts that never stop turning in our minds. It's in the sleepless nights, the silent fears, the constant questions of whether we've done enough, saved enough, become enough. From the time we are young, we are taught that money is survival, that it is security, that it defines success. But somewhere along the way, this tool we created to serve us began to own us. It crept quietly into our hearts, shaping our choices, straining our relationships, whispering fears into our peace. And so we carry it, not just in our pockets, but in our souls. Money itself is harmless. It is paper, numbers, energy, a system built to exchange value. Yet the emotions we attach to it are vast and heavy. For some, money carries the weight of fear, the fear of not having enough, the fear of losing what little they have, the fear that life without wealth means life without worth. For others, it carries the weight of guilt, guilt for having more than those around them, guilt for wanting comfort when others struggle, guilt for feeling dissatisfied even when abundance surrounds them. And then there are those who carry the weight of shame, shame of debt, of poverty, of struggling in silence while pretending everything is fine. These emotions, though invisible, can be heavier than gold itself. They can shape a life more powerfully than fortune ever could. If we look back through time, we see that money has always been both a promise and a prison. Entire generations have chased it, traded their youth for it, measured their worth by it. We've built empires to accumulate it and broken relationships to protect it. Yet, when we reach the quiet hours of our days, when the world grows still, we realize that the numbers in our account cannot fill the emptiness in our hearts. They cannot heal the fatigue of a soul that's forgotten how to rest. The emotional weight of money is not about what we have or don't have. It's about what we believe it means. We live in a culture that glorifies wealth as the ultimate measure of success. From the screens we watch to the dreams we're sold, the message is constant. More is better. Richer is happier. Abundance equals worthiness. But in chasing this illusion, we have built invisible chains around ourselves. We forget that wealth without peace is just another form of poverty. We forget that no amount of possession can quiet an anxious mind. And we forget that true prosperity is not found in accumulation, but in alignment. Alignment between what we earn, what we need, and what we value. To release the emotional weight of money, we must begin by understanding our relationship with it. Ask yourself, when you think of money, what feeling rises first? Is it gratitude, fear, stress, or relief? These emotions reveal the hidden beliefs you hold about yourself and your place in the world. Many of us inherited our money stories long before we earned our first dollar. We absorbed them from our parents, from their struggles, from their unspoken lessons about what money meant, safety, status, or shame. We carry those patterns forward, sometimes repeating them, sometimes rebelling against them, but rarely examining them. The first step toward release is awareness. You cannot put down what you refuse to see. Awareness begins in stillness. Sit quietly one evening in no screens, no noise, and think about your earliest memory of money. Perhaps it was your parents arguing about bills behind closed doors, or the excitement of receiving a few coins as a child, or the embarrassment of not having enough to keep up with others. Each memory planted a seed, and those seeds grew into beliefs. Maybe you learned that money equals love, that it brings safety, or that it is always scarce. These beliefs became invisible maps guiding your life, and as you grew older, they began to weigh you down. Not because they were wrong, but because they were unexamined. Once we see our beliefs clearly, we can begin to soften them. We can remind ourselves that money is not morality, not identity, not destiny. It is simply a tool. And like any tool, its value depends on how we use it. A hammer can build or destroy. Money can heal or harm. The energy we bring to it shapes the life it helps us create. When we hold it with fear, it becomes controlling. When we hold it with gratitude, it becomes freeing. When we give it with love, it multiplies in ways that numbers cannot measure. Part of releasing the emotional weight of money is learning to detach our self-worth from our net worth. You are not your bank balance. You are not the house you live in, the car you drive, or the brand you wear. You are the kindness you give, the honesty you carry, the peace you nurture. Money can enhance those qualities, but it cannot create them. True wealth is quiet. It lives in calm mornings, meaningful conversations, and moments when your heart feels light because you are at peace with what you have. It helps to remember that money is cyclical. It flows, it changes, it comes and goes. Yet many of us hold it so tightly that we stop its natural rhythm. We become afraid to spend, to share, to trust that more will come. That fear creates scarcity, not in the world, but in the mind. To release the emotional weight of money, you must learn the art of flow, to give when you can, to receive with grace, and to trust in the endless movement of life's energy. The ocean never fears losing a wave, and yet it remains full. Think of the happiest moments in your life. Most likely, they were not the most expensive. They were the quiet dinners, the shared laughter, the unexpected kindness of a stranger. These moments remind us that money may make life easier, but it does not make life meaningful. Meaning arises from connection, from purpose, from love, and none of those can be bought. When you anchor your heart in what cannot be purchased, money begins to lose its emotional hold on you. There is also a gentler truth, that not all emotional weight tied to money comes from greed or fear. Some of it comes from love. Parents work endless hours not because they worship money, but because they wish to protect those they love. People chase financial stability not out of vanity, but out of the deep human desire to feel safe. This, too, is understandable. The goal is not to reject money or resent it, but to hold it lightly, to respect it without letting it define your peace. To lighten the burden of money, gratitude is your greatest ally. Each time you pay a bill, whisper a thank you for the roof it maintains, the electricity it powers, the food it brings. When you receive money, no matter how little, pause to appreciate the energy that flowed your way. Gratitude transforms the vibration of money from anxiety to appreciation. And in that appreciation, your emotional attachment begins to dissolve. You start to see money not as something you chase or hoard, but as something that moves through your life, like breath, essential but not your identity. And then there is generosity, the ultimate act of release. When you give, you break the illusion of lack. You tell the universe, I have enough to share. Generosity opens the hand that fear keeps clenched. It teaches you that abundance is not measured by what you keep, but by what you're willing to give, whether it's money, time, or kindness. Every act of giving lifts a little of that emotional weight until your heart feels light again. Perhaps the most difficult weight of money to release is comparison. We look at others, their houses, their travels, their apparent ease, and quietly measure ourselves against them. We forget that what we see is only the surface. Every fortune has its own fears, every luxury its unseen cost. When you compare your life to another's, you rob yourself of peace. The truest freedom comes not from having more, but from wanting less. From realizing that contentment is not a place you reach when you have everything, but a choice you make with what you already have. So how do we begin to truly release the emotional weight of money? It begins with forgiveness, forgiving yourself for past mistakes, for debts, for moments when fear ruled your choices. Then it continues with awareness, noticing the emotions that rise each time you think of spending or saving. And finally, it ends with trust. Trust in your ability to handle what comes. Trust in life's ability to provide. Trust that your worth is not tied to a number. When you carry this trust, money becomes lighter, and so do you. There's a quiet kind of wealth that doesn't appear on balance sheets. The wealth of peace. It's when you can look at your finances without panic. When you can enjoy what you have without fear of losing it. When you can give without resentment and receive without guilt. That is emotional freedom. That is the kind of wealth that lasts. For some, this journey will take time. It may mean downsizing, changing careers, or reevaluating what success means. It may mean saying no to constant striving and yes to simplicity. It may even mean facing uncomfortable truths about how much of your life has been shaped by financial anxiety. But beyond that discomfort lies liberation, the kind that cannot be bought, only earned through awareness and acceptance. Money will always be part of our lives. It is the bridge between effort and comfort, between labor and reward. But when we stop letting it define our self-worth, we begin to live more honestly. We begin to breathe easier. And in that space, joy finds us again. Not the joy of buying, but the joy of being. Imagine a life where money serves you, not the other way around. A life where every dollar you earn has purpose, where every expense reflects your values, and where your heart remains light regardless of your balance. This is not an impossible dream. It begins with one decision: to let go of fear, to choose gratitude, to trust in enough. When you do, the emotional chains around money fall away, and what remains is peace, steady, quiet, and real. The emotional weight of money is a burden we all share in some form, but it is also an invitation to return to balance, to remember that true wealth is found not in what we hold, but in what we release. The richest people are not those who have everything, but those who have learned that they already do. So tonight, as you rest, take a deep breath and whisper softly to yourself, I am enough. I have enough. I do enough. Let that truth sink in. Let it loosen the knots of worry that money tied within you. Let it remind you that your value was never something that could be counted or spent. You are already whole. And in that stillness, as the world fades into sleep, you may just feel it. The lightness of being free from the weight of money, and the quiet, enduring peace that comes when you finally let it go. For more information, subscribe my channel.